came by another route, there might not be one. So if you wave, then I think a helpful volunteer or two are going to bring annual meeting reports amongst you. If you don't have one, I'm asking maybe married couples just stick to one between the two of you, or one per household, because it'll save us on printing and all that sort of thing. Who needs one? There we go, Susan, and Akiva here, I think.
I know. I didn't go cook today. I didn't home.
Oh, okay.
I will just say that when the meeting gets going, we're not just going to read this to you. This is your enjoyment at home. You can read it with tea or coffee, figure out what's going on a bit more there. Who else needs an annual report? Kelly does. Kim, nice. And Anna came right there. Hi. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Are we ready? Okay.
Hey, how are you?
So it's 4 o'clock and there's a lot to get through, so I think I'm going to start now. You are all very welcome to Trinity Cathedral's annual meeting. It's the annual meeting for 2023. Remember, it's a backward-looking meeting, though it is on February 25th, 2024. We're going to have about an hour in here together, at least time for questions, just spotted throughout the talk. After this, we're going to go into the breezeway and the courtyard, where we'll have happy hour. You can all chat and discuss. And then there's a team of people that are going to take all of the meals that you brought in and turn them into a wonderful potluck over in the hall at 5. Okay? No, that's not right. 6. Thank you. So let's go to the next slide. Investing in the future. That's what I really felt the whole overarching theme of the year was. We are investing time and energy, perhaps eventually money, also some of our money already in the future. And we're seeking to build the cathedral. We've come back from COVID, but we still have some work to do. So all of our energy and efforts are towards this goal. Let's have a look at the next slide. I'm going to call our meeting to order, and an important task is I'd like to appoint a clerk for the meeting. And on this occasion, I have a volunteer, and it is Deirdre Johnson. Deirdre, are you willing to be the clerk for the meeting? I am. I wonder, do I have to propose a second now, or can we just do that? I'm just going to appoint Deirdre Johnson as the clerk of the meeting. So next slide. Let us pray. May God be with you.
Also with you.
Loving God, as your minister, the deacon, bids us to leave the church at the end of the Eucharist, they say, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. We are mindful that as we serve any of your children, we serve you. As we meet this day, make us mindful of your call on us to love and to serve. Help us to keep wise counsel for your cathedral in this place and live out your call on us. Amen. In the first item of business tonight is a report of the nominating committee. That's on the next slide. We have 5 nominees for positions on the vestry. They are these people. If they're here, I wonder if you might raise. I know David Franklin isn't here because he is gallivanting about. But Margie Johnson. Margie, would you stand? And everybody can go around, just turn around and say hi, Margie. Hi. Bill McGrath. Bill McGrath's here, who was waiting for you. Brian Schultz. Brian Schultz is right here. Reverend Strasser King. Reverend Strasser King. I would like to say, there being 5 positions available and there being 5 candidates, these candidates were all reviewed by the nominating committee and their applications were in order. I would like to ask that we enter into the record that we elected them by acclamation of the meeting. If you feel that way, you could indicate that. Thank you. So they are now to be elected as members of the vestry. Yay! Look at the next part of the nominating committee report. And if you are here, I know some of you may not because you're doing other things in the building, would you stand as I call your name? Kevin Donahue, Eileen Harvey Fawcett, Mary Hustler, Elizabeth Neely, Jean Larker, Sherry Meadows, Jerry Perret, Kenny Pierce, Pam Stoltenberger, and Rick Kraft King. All of these members put their names in nomination for our delegates to the Diocesan Convention. All of their applications were in order. We have 10 positions in the convention, and there are 10 applicants. I will let you know we historically had more. In our post-COVID world, numbers of the cathedral average Sunday attendance has dropped. For a period of time, we had that number of delegates frozen, but the diocese has released our freeze this year. So this is the number of delegates we get. It's our task now to build back up to 12, which we will hopefully be doing over the next couple of years. But there being 10 nominees and 10 positions available, I would like to also enter into the record that you have elected them by acclaim. Is that okay? Great. Let me say one thing. We are entitled to alternates and our lead alternates, but we've only got 10 people nominating themselves. A number of these people will find that as the year unfolds, they can't make the diocesan convention, and so I'll need some alternates. If you are interested in this ministry, you could attend as an alternate, even if you aren't a delegate. That's kind of interesting, but you may need to step up and be a delegate at some point in the year, and let me know if you're interested in serving in that way, because I'll need some people in reserve. Okay? Goodness me, it's going to be on Zoom this year, so it's actually going to be really easy. It's going to be a Saturday on Zoom. Okay, the parochial report. I wanted to share with you some details from the parochial report. So let's look at the next slide. There are about 30 different statistics that you collect in the parochial report, but only 2 that really seem to count. That's our pledge and plate, and also our Sunday attendance. I just wanted to share the last couple of years with you on attendance at the cathedral. You can see the numbers. In 2022, we had our Sunday attendance of 249. I don't know if you recall, before the pandemic, we were in the mid-300s. We actually have less people attending regularly, but it's growing year by year, because it's grown to 260 this year, or last year, which is a 4% growth. Our Easter attendance in 2022 was 587, grew to 601, which is a 2% increase. And Christmas grew from 706 to 745, which is a 6% increase. And we hope those trends will continue and even accelerate. The thing that was really interesting is that we keep a record of people who access our online stuff, and we have 2 categories of online production. One is live stream services that go out on a Sunday morning, which both go out live and stay as an archive. People don't really watch them live. About 8 people watch live. But by the end of Tuesday, often about 150 or 200 people have watched them. Because everyone time shifts a little bit with that online content. Then we extract the sermon from the live stream, and I do a vlog every week, and any educational activity that we record as a video, these all go out as a separate category, which are just videos on our online space. The average weekly viewership in 2022 for all of that content was 632, and the average weekly viewership was 1,070 in the last year, which is a 69% increase, and has shown us that a strategy is developing of online being a really important space for us. And what we're realizing is we have probably as much engagement in the life of the cathedral now as we did before the pandemic, but not all of it's live in person. And in fact, what Kenny has realized in reviewing all of this is that there's actually quite a young demographic that is in this 1,070. It's 18 to 25 to 36 is a large chunk of this amount. A thing that churches are realizing at the moment is that people check us out online before they come and see us in person. And they like to see what kind of preaching they're going to see, what kind of people they're going to meet, what life is going to be like at Trinity Cathedral. And we're trying to figure out ways in which we can maximize our use of this online space. And we haven't got plans yet, but we're working on improving. Okay? Let me just 1 second. Let's go to the next slide. Question. There you go. Yep. Yep.
Are we able to identify and give that online
No. The church statistics haven't quite caught up with that yet. And one of the difficulties is the way in which different churches count their online attendance is different. And they're not asking the broker report for a specific method of counting. So Kenny's done an aggregate across the 3 different platforms that we use online, which are YouTube, Vimeo, and Facebook Live. He's aggregated all of those numbers into one figure. There is no consistency across the Episcopal Church on how we count online figures, so they are not counting them in our average Sunday attendance. Does that make sense? Question number 8. I have no idea. It's like alchemy to me, but Kenny knows. Apparently, because there's a Google-based and a Facebook-based way of accessing these videos, we can find out the ages of the people that are watching our videos based on that. Okay. The question was, how do we know the age of the people that are watching? And it's because they've logged into their Google account or they've logged into their Facebook account in order to watch us online, so we can work it out that way. Was that your same question, Jerry? No? I didn't quite catch the end.
Is there any income, pledges, etc., that is coming from those increased numbers?
There are, and that's a really good question. I don't have any statistics to help analyze that. What a good idea for the coming year. We should definitely have a better answer for that this time next year. Thank you. The question was, do we have any pledges coming in from people that just watch online? And we do. But the reality is there are likely to be people that were attending in person before the pandemic, and they've just carried on watching online, and they've carried on pledging. I don't think we're generating new income from that space, and it's something we're thinking about doing in the future. Okay? I will try and do that, yes. If someone's asking a question, I will repeat it back to you. My apologies. Let's go to the next slide. Reading. Do you want, there's a microphone right there at that over there. I'm sorry, Reader, I didn't get you to practice.
Oh, good. So this is on. Can you guys? Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, let me look at this. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who is, all of your pledging members of the cathedral. It makes all the difference, and I really want to thank you for your generosity. You're extremely generous, and those of us on the development committee, know that maybe more than most. And so the development committee is responsible for stewardship and for planned giving. That's at this point what we mostly do. So we organize this fall stewardship campaign. We do a newcomers lunch. We work with Invite, Welcome, and Connect to have a good newcomers lunch. And then we also have our Trefoil Society, which is our planned giving society, and we have an annual reception for that. And those are for everybody who's put the Trinity in their will or estate plan. So if you've done that and haven't let us know, please let us know, and you too can come to a party. It's fun, and we have a good time. And so looking at this graphic, I think there were only a couple things I really wanted to say about it. Basically, it has the pledge counts over here by year on the left-hand side, and it's got the amount pledged and the difference. So as you can see, we're doing well in general, especially last year in our fundraising. And we raised over $1 million, which is great. And this year, so far, we have $944,000, but we are pretty confident that we will increase that substantially and be able to, to say we've done what we wanted to do. The thing that is a little noteworthy to me is the number of pledging units has dropped, which means each of us are more generous than we've been in the past, but there are fewer of us doing it. And that is an issue. So last year we had 278 pledging units, and this year so far we have 236. And we'll get more, but I just want you to know that we are losing. And that's with the Invite, Welcome, and Connect doing a great job at getting new pledgers. I mean, we have over 30 new pledges for this year, which is really good. So we're happy about that. And then, I think that's about all I want to say about that. Just one more thing and I'll go away. So.
Don't go away.
I also just want to thank the whole team, because it's a group of people who do this work. Obviously, we have Dean Matthew, and we also, though, have the congregational backup. We have Nathan Daly, Tori Beck, Bill Simmons, Mary Hustler, and Sheila Hard are all part of the team. So thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say we have some further calls to make, and the thing that we've been discovering this year is that people are kind of giving in perpetuity and don't think they need to have their pledge started every year, and that's something that we're wrestling with a little bit. So the gap between last year and this year is really a lot in that conversation, and much of that giving is continuing. We're hoping to have a better update later in the year on having followed up with all of those people who are giving through sort of bank orders in a regular manner, and we'll do that. But are there any questions for reading? Seeing none, I'm going to say thank you, Rita, for all of your work. Hey! Mr. Treasurer, where is the Treasurer? That away? Thank you. Go ahead, and you might need to go into advanced slides.
While we're here, I'm just going to suggest that you go ahead and scan the QR code in front of you. It will leave the amount blank. That's intentional. That will be filled in by your finance committee. But just go ahead and, while I'm talking, just go ahead and scan that. I want to tell you about I'm going to tell you about some headwinds. Oh boy. Here it is right here. We had a $147,000, $146,000 headwind, which means that's an operational deficit. We spent more operationally than we brought in. And while that sounds a lot like, my lifestyle in my early adulthood, this is painful to look at if you've never seen it before. But I want to go to the next slide. All right, so that's our income, that's our expense. We went back and tracked principally revenues and also expenses over a longer period of time than we might normally for an operation or for a presentation like this. I wanted you to see the effects of a couple of big global things. The pandemic, no stars, can't recommend it to my friends. And also then the effects of inflation. We've had a period of inflation that we haven't seen for quite some time over the past 3 years, and those have kind of overlapped. So I wanted to take our historical look back a little further in time than we might otherwise do. So this goes back to 2016, and I just look at the share. This is our pledge and pledge-related income. This is pledges and regular giving that is not related directly to a pledge, but comes in regularly nonetheless. And if we go to the next slide, we'll put an orange cap on that. We'll put some other non-pledge income. This is legacy gifts. We had the pandemic incentive rewards in there.
ERTC.
Oh, yep, the RTC. So blue is general pledge operating kind of money. Orange is a little more difficult to ascertain and certainly, or at least to predict. Okay, so if we pop onto the next slide, this is some good news, and Reagan reflected on this a minute ago. This is the average amount of giving per pledging household or per pledging unit. We're holding really strong, except when we go to the next slide, that's what's happening to the number of pledging units. So the amount of money that's coming in per individual or per household is actually growing, but we need more people coming to church. Okay? Just in case. All right, Randy. These are our expenses throughout the same period, and we've done a really good job of managing expenses in difficult times. The blue is human resources and HR related costs, which, like most other faith congregations, is based heavily around the personnel. That's the largest single area of our cost. Orange is everything else. Okay. I like this. I like this because it's just weird and geographic. This line right here that I'm pointing to is break even. And when you look at that, you go, holy cow, we've lost money operationally. We've lost money, what's that, 7 out of the last 8 years. That's actually the good news that I'm heading toward. I'll get there in a second. So we had one superlative year in 2021. I don't know, you guys really dug down deep or something. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But we had one operational surplus. And the remainder of the years, going back over this 8-year period, have been operational deficits. Where is the money coming from, Rick? Next slide. It comes from our net assets. We have a strong capital base. We have total assets somewhere in excess of $9 million. Net assets are total assets minus total liabilities. We have very little debt. We have a strong balance sheet. And when we have to operate at a deficit, which we've done a couple times, we've been able to go into our resources, our capital resources, draw money from that to offset operational shortcomings. And in spite of doing that, 7 out of the last 8 years, I want you to see the growth of our net worth. So I started out with some headwinds that we're facing, but I want you to know that operationally, we may be losing money, but financially overall, we're maintaining good financial health, and we're actually growing our bottom line. Those are the things I wanted to tell everyone.
Those are the things you wanted to say. Can we go to the next slide?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes,
You wanted to do some
key takeaways. I feel like I've told the whole joke and left out the punchline. So, yeah, we have had a couple of tough years. We have had a couple of tough years, but we've been able to offset those operational deficits by sourcing from our capital. And even after doing that, the capital, the net assets, the assets minus liabilities, have continued to grow. And that really leads to our opportunities for evangelism. All of these slides are kind of pointing toward invite, welcome, and connect people into our family, go find some more folks, bring them on to church. And the other one is that we've mentioned a couple times, is to seek to encourage our online viewership to, scan the QR code, right, and participate financially in the wherewithal of the church.
And I want to say something that we're noticing. I hope you're noticing this in the whole presentation. We're investing in the future. We'll talk more about that in a moment from some of our historic resources. If you want to know how you could be involved in the strategic improvements of the life of the cathedral, right here, the Invite Welcome Connect ministry. One of the things that we need to do post-pandemic is to continue building up our community. And we have a ministry that's entirely focused on doing it. We're spending some time focused on that in a forum every Sunday morning and in sermons in the season of Lent. We'd love you to invite neighbors. We'd love you to welcome people. We'd love you to help them get connected. That should be our number one focus in the year to come. And it will be the one single strategic thing that any one of you could do that will make the biggest difference to the life of the cathedral the next year. Hope that's it. Okay, next slide. Questions?
Question?
Kevin?
You say net worth is going up, although we're going to that for kind of borrow from that offset. So where's that net worth coming from? Interest accrued, not all liquid assets, are they?
Wait.
Before you answer, Rick, let me just repeat the question. Net assets are going up, and we're using that for some deficit years. Where's that money coming from? Where's the net asset increase coming from?
Some of the asset base you're sitting in right now. So we have about $4 million of fixed assets. We also have about $4.5 million of invested funds that are invested in a couple of different, basically mutual funds in an investment mechanism that is actually managed by the diocese. So it's not sitting in the piggy bank. It's in a diversified portfolio. And a follow-up.
One of the blue and orange bars that's out there. Blue is the pledge income, and orange, is that like we can give us a record of people not pledged? Do they drop off the pledge? Or is it not renewed and it goes into the orange line? Or is that just not being increased?
What is blue and what is orange? How's that? Was that okay? When I referred to blue, actually go back one more slide. The blue I've identified as pledge and related income. That is actual pledges, and that is recurring but not pledged income. We have some members that do give regularly but don't pledge it formally. That's the blue, and then if we come forward one more slide. The orange is everything else. Legacy gifts, money that drops out of the sky.
And
Every slide has the blue.
I'm sorry?
Every slide has the blue. When you said it was before.
Yes, yeah, that's the same.
I just want to say a secondary way we consider giving to the cathedral, as we had mentioned, was through our Legacy Society, the Trefoil Society. People do that, and when they pass away, they're no longer giving through pledging. Often, generous gifts do come to the cathedral, and it really makes a significant difference in the life of the cathedral. And so, if you want to consider that, that's something that we can help people to develop a legacy plan. Now, we can help you develop not just for the cathedral, we can give you guidance on, you can give money to other organizations as well. But we'd like you to give some to the cathedral. That would be something worth considering. I see Margie's hand up and I see Don's hand up. Margie.
So, for legacy gifts, do they go into a general operating fund or do they go into the endowment?
The question is, legacy gifts, where do they go? They go into endowment.
Well,
Well, let me rephrase that. Some are specified to be for specific uses and are set aside for specific uses. Some may be open-ended and will start out going into investment accounts to, again, not just sit under the pillow, but those may become eligible at some point during the year to do some of the financial offsets that we've talked about.
If a donor says that it's restricted, the endowment, that's where it will go. It will go into a general unrestricted fund otherwise, but not into the annual budget. Does that make sense? So it may plug that gap at the end of the year, depending on what the donors specify. And you can talk to Regan about specifying where your fund should go, or one of the Sheila Hart actually is the best one advising. Is Sheila Hart here? Sheila, will you stand? Sheila is a member of our development team and can advise particularly on legacy funds, and would be delighted to sit with you and talk about that subject.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Don Taylor.
Yeah, where please offer go
Plate offering is in the was in the blue. Plate offering is in the
It's
blue.
one of the related regular giving things. Yeah. Where does plate offering go? In the blue or the orange part, it goes in the blue bar. Because we generally get about the same amount each year. It kind of is regular and expected.
We had a question right here. The question is, if you were giving money to a specific fund, that was actually in those orange bars. Yeah, so these were,
That.
that was kind of fun, actually. That's going to show up in these orange bars, and that's actually the difference in size from year to year is what makes those difficult to project. Does this include specific gifts in memorial of past individuals? Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes.
It does.
I would like to ask that we contemplate moving on, if that's okay. And I want to thank the Treasurer for his presentation. And say that the Treasurer will be available to answer further questions as you wish, maybe in drinks. But as the year unfolds, we've taken to doing a media update, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here really by saying that we'd like to keep that path going. So in the summer, you can expect an update on how we're doing on this year, okay? Let's do the next one. Dean's report, that's me. Except lots of people are going to help with this. The strategic plan, 2023 to 2025. We've been shaping a lot of our activity on investor around the strategic plan, and I want to just give you an update on where we are. So our mission is to love to serve, which if you notice is a phrase that comes out of the deacon's dismissal, which some people consider to be the most important part of the service. It's when you're sent out into the world to do something with everything you've learned in church that morning, and you're sent out to love and to serve. It says the Lord, but I like the idea that you could say to love and to serve each other, to love and to serve Sacramento, to love and to serve the homeless, to love and to serve the LGBTQ community, to love and to serve Indigenous people. There are lots of ways that we can interpret and understand that as our mission. Next slide, please. We have some values that are really important to us. They were designed to spark imagination. Let's look at each one. The next slide is first. We welcome all. We gather together across age, gender, sexuality, race, and need. We want to be inclusive. You know what? We can be more inclusive. It's both who we are and who we aspire to be. We want to grow into this value more deeply. The next slide. Inquisitive. We love music, art, and creativity, and we're never quite done with exploring faith. I love that we're the kind of church where questions are super welcome, even questions that might stump the dean or confuse one of the clergy, and we have to do work on it and keep talking about it. We are not about definitive answers. We are about continuing to explore. Next page. We're unafraid. Maybe we're not, but we'd like to be. This means that we don't want to back down when the subject is tough. When Roe v. Wade was overturned in the Supreme Court, a number of you wanted to talk about it. That's not the easiest subject in the world for a clergy person to dive into, but we talked about it because you wanted to talk about it. And I really appreciated that. spirit of wanting to get into and understand a complex issue in the life of our church and our world. So we asked them 4 questions. Okay, I love this about this community. We believe that we should be working for a more just world. We believe our faith calls us to serve those outside of our community in our city and diocese. We strive to make the world a more just place. Okay, next one. Prayerful. It's last in the list, but that might be because it's foundational. We come at all these questions from a place of prayer. We love both ancient traditions and fresh expressions of faith. We are baptism and Eucharist at the heart of our life, and it is in these acts shaped by prayer that we find our way to God. I don't think that needs much explanation. That's essential to who we are. So we have 5 goals, and I'm going to ask the people to update on where we are with the goals now. Goal number 1 on the next page is grow our community with Invite Welcome Connect as our guide. Paul said is going to speak to this subject.
Thank you, Dean Matthew. It's really nice to see everybody here. Thanks for coming. So, Invite Welcome Connect is a ministry of transformation for Trinity. It provides tools and guidance that help us share our loving, liberating, and life-giving relationship with Jesus. Invite Welcome Connect is an ethos that we embrace, a way of being developed over time. Being an Episcopalian is wonderful. We can step into our relationship with God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit with open arms and an open heart, with heads full of questions and often doubts, coming from all spiritual backgrounds or none at all. When our guests come, they might not know this about us. We can show them by greeting them and talking to them. We can explain who and what we are. We can ask them, what brought you to Trinity today? We listen to stories of their lives, their faith journeys, their doubts and questions. Why? Because we want to help them experiencing a loving, liberating, and life-giving relationship with Jesus. We are the heart of Invite Welcome Connect. Each one of you is a vital part of Invite Welcome Connect. The slide behind me shows you our goals and accomplishments in 2023. These goals and accomplishments were primarily about interacting with guests. Next slide. This slide shows you the goals that we want to accomplish in 2024. They are primarily about increasing the number of people directly helping with Invite Welcome Connect by joining the Invite Welcome Connect ministry team or interacting with guests at the welcome table in Charis introductory classes or at other events. We need you. Next slide. This slide shows you the help we need for Trinity to be successful. We need volunteers to intentionally reach out to guests, welcoming them, showing them where the coffee is, answering questions, introducing them to our friend groups, and to sometimes smile gently at guests and let them leave the service without overwhelming them. We also need volunteers who are willing to text or call a guest, see if they have questions or, just want to grab a cup of coffee. Trinity also needs people who would never work at a welcome nest, but they like to work in the background. You can be a part of the Invite Welcome Connect ministry team to develop a welcome or an invite activity, such as a newcomer's lunch or coffee. You could help plan a small group activity. You could help us refine the ministry. You can communicate with other ministries and just more, pretty much anything you can think of. This is a fabulous opportunity to be creative. So please join the Invite Welcome Connect ministry team or volunteer for the welcome table or another activity. You can talk to me. You can talk to Canon. Megan, could you stand up over there? You can talk to Stephen Henry. I don't know if you're here. It's in the back. You can talk to Deirdre Johnson over here. And you can talk to Debbie James and, of course, myself. So if you have questions or if you're interested, we would really love to have you join us. Thanks for considering it.
Yay. I'm going to ask Nancy if she'll come and speak to this goal. Become a resource for the diocese and spiritual leader in Sacramento.
Thank
You're welcome.
I'm Nancy Danovic. I'm a vestry member. My husband Bill and I regularly attend the 11 o'clock service. I am the convener, if you will, of the Trinity Public Policy Advocates Committee. Our interest is in advocating for issues that affect us, our neighbors, and our friends. We also intend to support the dean as his voice becomes more prominent in our city. This past year, the committee took a good look at Trinity's record of social advocacy and outreach from the 1980s and up until the present day. We found the tradition of involvement is a very rich one, and we intend to continue this tradition. This past year, we have been in close association with SAC-ACT, that's Sacramento Congregations Together, and we worked with them on a measure before the City Council regarding the unhoused, as well as another action that came before the State Assembly. We had volunteers from Trinity working on the point-in-time event to count the unhoused on a single night in California. Did you know that there's an Episcopal public policy network? This originates in the national church. We have a Trinity volunteer training with them regarding working in the upcoming elections. When you are reading the e-news, look for announcements from Trinity Public Policy Advocates. You may want to join us.
Thank you, Nancy. I have a little additional update, which is become a resource for the diocese as well. This year, I took direct responsibility for the outreach team, and I've been working with them on a joint strategy around our outreach. We have about 5 or 6 different outreach activities. We work with the homeless, with Floyd School, we work with SAC-ACT, we work around migration issues, lots of engagements going on, and I meet with that group once a month, and we plan strategy together. Formation, so we've been working in our formation department under Alex, has been working on events to explore civic engagement, and also making many of our resources available via videos or classes in a hybrid form for the rest of the diocese to engage with, and we intend to do that more in the coming years. So if you are coming to a Trinity education event and there's somebody on screen, they're very often going to be from another part of the diocese, and that's a deep part of our support for the diocese. Thank you. Let's go to the next goal, which is even our family ministry program provide information for all ages. And the next slide, Reverend Alex. I want to say our first goal for this, our first objective of this goal was to hire somebody, and it's
Did you do that? But I'm not the answer. I'm here to help you discover that you are the answer. That's right. So after I got here, in that pursuit of that, we had some listening sessions with families. I wanted to listen about what is working well at Trinity Cathedral, what could grow, and how are things doing. Out of that, we learned a couple of things. We learned about the need to have some greater stability in our family ministry system, stability in terms of consistent schedules and communication. We also learned, and what I think was more important, I mean the first part's important too, but is that what parents are most deeply desiring for their own kids' spiritual lives is a deep sense of belonging here. Their kids feel like that they belong to a wide and diverse, all those great values we listed earlier, community that cares deeply about them. And so then in the pursuit of that, we recruited a bunch of new Sunday school volunteers. We had about 15, and we established a regular pattern of Sunday school, youth group, special events, and clear communication, a new family ministry newsletter that some of you receive. Some of you have politely asked me to not receive it anymore. Then, the other half of my whole job is around formation around adults. But you'll quickly see how interlinked these two things are. We've been in a season of experimentation. As I think It is no surprise to anyone, and if it is a surprise to you, we can talk later. But that Thursday night at the cathedral has changed over the years. And inviting us into an exploration of where is the Holy Spirit inviting us to grow and go next in our adult formation. And so we've experimented with a half-day retreat back in Advent, where about 55 of you all came and joined us for a half-day of reflecting, exploring different spiritual practices, and taking your faith deeper. We'll have another half-day retreat coming up in April. April 20th will be a half-day retreat focused on embodied grace. Then, many of you, in fact 83 of you, are participating in these Lent regional groups. These are regional groups that are using an intentionally intergenerational curriculum that is focused on relationship building, with of course some good reflection on Scripture as well. And that takes us back to the beginning of this slide, of how we're integrating more relationships, so that way people of all ages feel connection here at the cathedral. And I think this also takes us back to goal number 1, invite, welcome, connect, in terms of creating small group settings where people get to really know each other, welcome each other, and connect and build relationships across the diversity of the cathedral.
I want to add that anecdotally, people that are in these regional groups that have been meeting for 1 week have said, I already have relationships in the cathedral, and I already have people I can go into church on Sunday morning and meet and wave at them and know them. So it's doing the job that it was intended to do. Thank you.
Yay! All right, I think that's my slide.
That's good. Thank you, Alex. Grant Alex over a drink in a moment. Becoming a Central Church of Excellence, Elizabeth Kennedy is going to come talk to us about this goal.
So this is not my comfort level, so I really needed to make some notes. And then the dean said, keep it to 3 minutes.
She's got jokes.
I'm trying. Whether using our traditional prayer book services, enriching our worship, or our own creation, which is our sunshine service, excellence is offering our best, as the dean often reminds me. It doesn't mean we're perfect. We are offering our best, not only to God, but to all who enter our doors. And I'd like to read just a couple sentences from a book called Celebrating the Eucharist by the very Reverend Patrick Malloy, Dean of St. John the Divine in New York City. He writes, "The liturgy is serious business. It is not about dressing up and parading around, saying peculiar words and doing odd things. It is a confrontation with God that changes lives. And changed lives change the world." So in regard to that, part of working toward that is doing our best, understanding what we do, and why we do it. And that can be from anything as basic as to the church year and the colors and what they mean, to deep theological questions that we toss in the Dean's Corner. Inclusion of all, we say that all the time. We want everyone to be included. We want everyone to feel included. So if how we use our words blocks God's love from reaching someone in our building or anywhere else, then we must be mindful of the words we use. And as one who cringes at the thought of changing a whole bunch of stuff, because I've been in the Episcopal Church my whole life, I'm finding in some instances, it really just isn't that hard. From the Lord is my shepherd to God is my shepherd. That isn't hard. That works. It's not always that easy, but there's a lot of easy things we can do to make it work. Language evolves, and being open to changing of language. I remember when I was a kid, we referred to God as awful. And that changed to awesome because the word awful took on a different meaning from what it had been in the past. And it changes. We need to change with it. Making the best use of our space kind of goes back to understanding why we do what we do. If we understand the reasoning, the symbolism, and everything about it, that makes it easier to make decisions about the use of our space, the best way to use it, what it means. Some of the things that we've done, we have planned service for Indigenous Peoples Day. There were just a few of us that worked on it, but it was a wonderful experience, and it offered insights into things that I would never have thought. At one point we were using the word relative, and I thought that was odd because I don't use that word in the sense that we were using it in this service. And I was told, no, Indigenous people do use that. And so it opens doors, it helps understanding, it makes it easy to accept. We had one Saturday that people came and we made Advent wreaths, and we were able to send home with them a short Advent service to use at home once a week or more often if they'd like, and especially during a meal to open conversation, to talk about Advent, to talk about what it means and what it means in our lives, in what we do every day. We've had an instructed Eucharist. We've had two, actually, Rite 2 that was really very well received. And a few weeks ago, we had Enriching Our Worship, helping us to understand it's important. In the coming events, we have Holy Week coming that's going to be full. Lots of things going on in Holy Week. Easter Vigil, baptisms, Bishop's going to be here. And Easter Sunday, wonderful time. Something I really want everybody to mark your calendar now, May 19th, one service at 10 a.m., Pentecost, coming of the Holy Spirit, and Africa Day. We haven't done it in a long time. It is going to be a blast. We are looking to do more instructed Eucharists. We have a dean that knows his stuff, and we need to take advantage of that. We are planning an instructed Eucharist for Rite 1, probably not until the summertime, but it is in the works, and hopefully more for all the services throughout the year. This is just a little tiny bit. We discovered that there was so much going on in the church that, and who's doing what. It led to the development of another committee, if you will, a quarterly meeting with the clergy, Canon Link, and myself, and it just goes over 1/4 of the year at a time. Our first meeting was 2 hours long. There's a lot going on around here. Join us on our journey. We meet on the second Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. We try to keep it to an hour and a half. We are striving to be a diverse group. Anybody who's interested is welcome to come and join us. I have to say at our last meeting there were 6 of us and only 2 of us had white hair. If you have any questions, please send them to me, give them to me. You could pass them to the clergy, but I'd love to keep it with just me so we can keep it in one spot. We're going to try and make sure everybody knows when the next instructed Eucharist is coming, so questions can come in, and at that time we can have those kinds of things answered. Knowing all of this and being able to pass on the information, creating liturgies that nurture growth and bring us closer to God, to each other, so we can indeed leave here to love and to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Anita to come and talk to the develop a master plan in our buildings, for our buildings, and have a funding plan in place. Anita Williams.
Thank you, Matthew. So, yes, goal number 5 is to develop a master plan for our buildings and have a funding plan in place. And so we have a couple of objectives. Our first objective was to form a new building and tech committee to oversee the master planning process and partner with the development and finance committees to assist with the financing of this plan. So since early 2023, we have had a building and tech team that's been meeting monthly, often twice a month, if not more. And I'd like to introduce those members. That's Pam Saltenberger, Kevin Donahue, Eileen Harvey-Qualset, Kenny Pierce, and Matthew and myself. So thank you to everyone for your service on that committee. They've been doing quite a lion's share of work. We've spent quite a great deal of time this year reflecting on what is truly the right size for our buildings and for our building projects. So our objective number 2, we've retained WMB architects to develop plans for the Capitol Avenue building. That includes the administration and office spaces, the formation spaces, the assembly area, possibly moving the choir over to the Capitol Avenue building and restoring the chapel here in the sanctuary, but don't tell anyone. So we have also, as many of you know, have retained a liturgical consultant who is helping us kind of envision what worship might look like here at the cathedral as we move forward, and also a capital campaign consultant to help us take the temperature and gauge our capacity to fund this kind of work. So the next slide, please. So we've been working on some near-term goals and some, hopefully getting some near-term outcomes right now. Our longer-term goals are still being met. And as I mentioned, it is determining what is the right path forward for these building projects. I would offer that one of them was, we've talked quite a bit about a building on 27th Street where we have the apartment buildings and where Easter Park is. And we don't have capacity right now to fund that type of project, nor do we have program needs that would cause us to have to spill over into that kind of project. So that we've determined that that project is not needed right now, but that still retains its status as a future project. We are looking at our current site. I'm sorry that Kevin, our junior warden, isn't here to talk a little bit more about this, but in a phone call the other day, Regan Murphy said it best. She said, nothing lasts forever. And that includes our roof on the Capitol Avenue building and our HVAC equipment over there. Some of those units are coming on to about 35 years old and are going to be needing replacement, as well as the roof. Another thing that we did or need to do is we need to look at our existing systems that need replacing or upgrades, including accessibility here into this building, in our restrooms, campus security. It's that magical balance of being open and welcoming, but also being safe and secure, and our IT infrastructure. So those are all items that we're looking at as well. We want our buildings to be more open, but while they're secure. We also did a a pretty comprehensive energy audit in the summer of 2023, which is in keeping with our diocesan resolution to achieve carbon neutrality. And what it revealed was not surprising. We're doing a good job, but the systems that we have in place to run the cathedral, the mechanical systems, the electrical systems, the IT systems, they're dated and they need some work. So third slide. So, I'm a land use planner, and as planners go, we tend to look out at long horizons. And Trinity Cathedral is going to be 150 years old in about 22 years. So we want to keep an eye of what we need to do today to meet those goals and to rise to the moment for the people that are going to be worshiping in this space at that time. And I would also submit that I think we can do this. We are a brave people. Just in the last couple of years, we've refreshed the Great Hall, we built out Easter Park, we reimagined our bookstore as an art gallery, and I think we can make this cathedral ready for the next generation to come if we are determined to continue to invest in our future. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Question. I appreciate that question, but we won't be able to get into that kind of detail today, but I do think there are assessments we can have a conversation afterwards about it. Thank you. That's the trees on Capitol Avenue. Some fell down into the neighbors' houses a few years ago, or last year. We were worried about the other trees falling into us. They were assessed during the year, but we can talk a bit more about that afterwards. I have a few more things to say, and we're at 5. I apologize for that. I'm going to beg for forbearance for another 15 minutes or so, but we will get to drinks. Is that okay? Okay, great. Ongoing projects. There are some things that we're doing in the life of the cathedral that were not in our strategic plan, but they carry on, nevertheless. And I want to give you some updates on some of those things. So the next one is pastoral care, and Canon Megan is going to come and talk about where we are with that.
Yes, pastoral care is an ongoing strategic priority of Trinity and close to many of your hearts, I know. And we are always busy with a lot of things in the pastoral care department. And lately, we've been hard at work discerning and developing and launching a new lay pastoral care training program. And we've done that from scratch, so you can appreciate how much time and effort that has taken. And we're really grateful to the strategic working group for pastoral care for their time and commitment to this. And the exciting news I have to offer to you is that we're going to launch a beta group, a test group in early June. We're going to send some people through that training and get it ready for everyone to go through that wants to. So more on that soon. Lay pastoral care leaders and Eucharistic ministers continue to offer home visits and hospital visits and emergency visits to people who want pastoral care and communion. So we're so grateful for them. And right here on Sunday mornings in the East Transept, we're also grateful for our Transept prayers who offer prayers for people who want that during the Sunday morning service. We have trainings for all of these groups, and of note, Sister Kelly Dunlap, who is the coordinator for Eucharistic ministers and Eucharistic visitors, her and I have worked to develop 2 new trainings for Eucharistic visitors and Eucharistic ministers, which we are really excited about, and watch your e-news and ongoing publicity when we launch those trainings. We would love to have you along. Ashes to Go is a form of creative pastoral care that's been ongoing for a couple of years around the cathedral, and that's where ministers take ashes and prayers to the streets of downtown and midtown Sacramento and beyond, and in some homes of parishioners. And we reached over 200 people with that ministry this year, so that is very exciting and moving for all of us to note. especially if a loved one is in the process of dying or needs last rites, any emergency, we have a phone line which you can call, which is always staffed by clergy. And you can take note in our slide here. I'll also say it out loud, and it's on our website. That number is 916-379-7549. So thank you to all of our pastoral care leaders, and thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Karen. Megan, I'm going to do Sophie talks now. Randy.
Hi everyone, thank you all for coming. First of all, I would like to give a few thank yous, specifically to the Communications Committee. That consists of Serena Marcion, Dion Zinkovich, Lori Richardson, and David Barron. They have been instrumental to getting this website set up and designed. I would also like to thank Anthony Pierce for his wisdom and expertise. So as you may have known, if you noticed or looked on the website today, it has changed drastically and very completely. We really wanted to make the design much simpler and cleaner, easier to read, and filled with rich image. And it's very much focused on newcomers and seekers that are trying to come to Trinity Cathedral for the first time. It will continue to evolve, still, in its early phases a little bit. We will be outsourcing a hosting company that can manage the website more a bit as I continue to live into my new position as operations manager. And I also want to give another extra thank you to Lori Richardson, who is actually currently managing the e-news and running that. So the e-news will evolve a bit. We are going to put up a blog on the website. You will still get an email coming from Constant Contact. However, it will have titles to the subject of the article, but it will take you straight to the website onto the blog. So it should make the e-news much cleaner, much easier to read, and but I just wanted to give you kind of a first look or a picture of what the website looks like now. This is the home page. If you go on to the next, this is more of the ministries at Cathedral. Life events, clergy, coming to Trinity Cathedral, what it looks like, part of revival, community, and all of that information. And now, if you want to take a look at financial statements or vestry minutes, you can actually go onto the vestry page and click on here, which is the cathedral information. And this contains all the 2024 and 2023 documents. 2023 should mainly be up currently, although we're still waiting for some of the financials for the last month. Well, other than that, it should be up to date and we should be good to go. And any questions?
At the top of every single page on our website, you'll see it's very easy for you to hit the right hand top. It says give. So we want to make sure that people can see that, and it's very easy. Especially for people who are new and accessing our videos. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to give. So just want to make sure everyone saw that. It's very important.
Thank you, Serena.
Make a better picture of the dean, Terry Tough says. Because Terry's tough. It's very tough woman. Thank you, Randy. Can I say thank you? Please explore the website as it exists. There's less text on it than there was. Because people nowadays don't really read all the text on websites. But we hope the essential information is there. And have a look at the calendar to tell you all the events and the life of the cathedral. I wonder if there are any questions for the whole report that you just heard. There was a lot, I just realized. But the revival, yes, coming up is Diocesan Revival, the last weekend of April. We have Bishop Gutierrez coming and joining us from Pennsylvania. He'll be preaching. There's going to be Evensong, the fundraising dinner here at the cathedral, and then we're going to be in Roseville for the actual event. It's going to be a really exciting evening, and there's stuff in the e-news about it regularly, so please look at that, put those dates in your calendar. If there are no questions, I'm going to move on to the last bits, okay? Vestry. senior ward. I would like to announce that I am appointing Pam Stoltenberg for another year as senior ward.
I'm not so sure about that, but anyway, it's so wonderful to see so many people here. Thank you so much for coming. I just have one thing to say, and that is I hope that you're all incredibly proud of the vestry for the work that they've done, that we've done on the strategic plan. Most people do a strategic plan, most organizations, it goes in a binder and it goes on a shelf, and then nobody ever looks at it. But we look at it every single month. There, as you can see, we've already made really inroads in what we plan to do, what our goals are, and our objectives. So I just want to give a shout out to the whole vestry and all the staff and the for all the work that everyone has done to make this really a vibrant, vibrant community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide. I want to say thank you to the retiring members of the vestry, which I love to do each year. And one of them is right here on my phone. John Cranack. Hi, John. John is with J. The T.
I better not. I'm 3 cocktails in.
John, being modeled for you is your gift to say thank you. It's a connected toy that I'm giving you, Starflex Creative Puzzle. I don't know if you know, but John is the most phenomenal connector in the life of the cathedral. We're so grateful for his ministry in the last 3 years. And I'm going to figure out a way to get you the connector toy, John. Okay? I can manage you. UPS delivers. Yeah. So wave at John. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure that you got this. It's good to see you, John. And hi, Jay. Good to see you too. Say the last thing. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now. Thank you so much. Okay, please excuse me being ridiculous. Kevin Donahue, is Kevin Donahue here or is he not here? He peeked in the door a second ago. Okay, I got this, Kevin Donahue. It's the Golden Chef's hat. We're gonna give it to him. We're gonna give it to him over there in the Great Hall, yeah? Because he cooks for us so much and we love it. For Elizabeth, he's not retiring from that, no. He's just retiring from the vestry. Elizabeth Keneally. Oh, you know all the things. Here's a special gift for Elizabeth Keneally. If I can get into it. 1 second. This is the conductor's baton. I don't know if you know, but no worship would occur in this place without Elizabeth Keneally. Elizabeth Keneally is not going to retire from that task, I hope, but is retiring from the vestry, and thank you for what you do. Thank you. Jerry Leach. Is Jerry Leach here? Jerry Leach, you always remind me of a kind of a, I don't know, Sherlock Holmes type character. And this, I think, and your costume is perfect today. Come on up. I got you Stalker because I thought it would fit with your janitorial elegance. And I hope it fits with you. There's something professorial and thoughtful. Thank you. Thank you for your ministry with us on the vestry as you retire this year. I'm going to put that in there so we can take it over there. It is, oh, what's not gold? Okay, this one is Don Taylor. I'm going to open it. Don, come on. It's a golden microphone. It's a voice-altering microphone. I'm not sure that we want to actually alter Don's voice, but the golden microphone is in honor of the fact that Don often speaks to us with the voice of God. And so I thought that this was the appropriate gift. It's a really functioning working toy that I hope you will super enjoy and your friends and family might also. Okay, next slide please. I want to thank the new members of the vestry who have just joined the vestry. Thank you. You'll be going with me to vestry retreat next year. That's David Crane, Marjorie Johnson, Bill McGrath. Next weekend, what did I say? No idea what I'm talking about. Raymond Strassman, thank you. Next slide. Thank you for these new diocesan convention delegates who are going to be representing you as a diocese. This is wonderful. Next slide, please. Dean's Awards. Shall we do this now? And then I think I'm about done. I'd like to read to you each of the proclamation. Check. This was a Dean's Award that I awarded last summer because the recipient is not with us, but I wanted to make sure that the whole annual meeting heard this. Bert Douglas, Treasurer. Bert Douglas stepped into the role of Treasurer at a critical time. We needed a steady hand, a determined mind to lead our finances from the end of our transition and during the time of the COVID-19 shutdown. Bert did the work of the Treasurer and went further, helping to run critical operations in the time of transition. He also got deeply into the underlying structures of our finances, simplified them and fixed issues he had identified. A clear thinker who always takes us back to firm accounting principles when asking the vestry to make decisions. Bert's tenure as treasurer will be remembered as a gift of a faithful servant of the church who now deserves to enjoy his retirement fully. He is doing so on a world tour and is not here. Second Dean's Award, Clayton Whitehead. Clayton Whitehead arrived at Trinity Cathedral. You can start moving towards me. Where is he? Clayton Whitehead arrived at Trinity Cathedral via our online live stream services in 2020. He appreciated our approach to theology and preaching. He loved our ritual, and he was looking for a church with a Franciscan spirituality. After writing to the dean, he began attending cathedral services and grew more attached to Trinity. A Sunday arrived when he offered to help, and he set up for an outdoor Eucharist. We were holding many at the time due to the pandemic restrictions. He was asked to assist the altar guild that day, and the history of Trinity shifted a little. Clayton would go on to rebuild the altar guild post-pandemic with organization, charm, and leadership that has touched many. The guild is a team and even wore matching t-shirts to a volunteer recruitment day. We all owe a great deal to Clayton Whitehead. You're welcome. Next Dean's Award, Kenny Pierce. Kenny Pierce has an insatiable desire for technology to serve the gospel, help people learn, and for the community to grow at Trinity Cathedral. He is our digital missioner and a bit of a geek. But his drive to use technology is entirely focused on spreading the gospel and spreading the message of Christian community. Kenny has helped us get a unified Wi-Fi across the cathedral grounds. He has led our technology ministries and has been a mentor of EFM, has served on the vestry, the building and tech team, and on the formation spirit team. His energy is legendary and his curiosity is contagious. He envisions how we might build a technological way to deliver the gospel in our post-pandemic world. Thank you, Kenny, for all you do. Margaret Puccinelli. Where's Margaret? Margaret Puccinelli is an office volunteer, an usher, and a safety guru for our community. Many of us have been trained in first aid because of Margaret's commitment to the well-being of all in the cathedral. Margaret has also held leadership in the usher ministry in a very difficult time, bringing us out of the pandemic and navigating those anxiety-ridden months when tickets and distancing were required. Margaret also served as chair of our Columbarium Committee. Its paperwork is in good order, and her gentle but clear approach to dealing with the bereaved is a gift to them in their most tender moments. Margaret, you've helped so many. We are grateful. And I have one more thing. I'm sorry. Okay, I've taken too long, but we can get a drink in a minute. This is not a Dean's Award because the person that I'm referencing here has received one already. This is something I'm asking for you to vote on. It's a courtesy resolution. Whereas Trinity Episcopal Cathedral is blessed by the presence of Kathy Twibell as a long-standing member of our community, and whereas she began her most recent period of service to this cathedral as the chair of the Flower Guild in 2013 and applied her energies in leading the guild with creativity and flair, and whereas she led the guild through one of its most difficult periods, namely the COVID-19 pandemic, when memorial services were complex and needed a touch of floral beauty, and flower arrangements needed to pop on camera as well as in the building. And whereas in addition to arranging each week with her team, she cheerfully stepped in to help the other 4 teams when needed, she attended worship committee meetings regularly, writing up binders filled with procedures and responsibilities, helped the 5 teams make celebrations like Christmas and Easter flow smoothly. And whereas when Bishop Traquair was installed at the Mondavi Center, there was no room for arranging at Trinity and 10 times the amount of flowers. And she not only had it all done on time, but she arranged for the flowers to be delivered. And whereas in Advent 2022, there wasn't much in place for Advent wreaths for the children, Kathy kept working after her team had finished and made to-go packets of greens and candles for families to take home. And whereas her husband, Steve, has often been pressed into service at the cathedral's adornment, now therefore let it be resolved by the annual meeting of Trinity Episcopal Cathedral, Sacramento, California, that Kathy Twibell is a good and faithful servant. Amen. There's a bit more. There's just a bit more, but I was struggling to read it. She's a treasured part of our cathedral community and is owed our thanks. We share our gratitude with her for her work as the chair of the Flower Guild and in service to God's church, and be it further resolved by the annual meeting that the cathedral community affirms that Kathy is a beloved child of a loving God, highly valued in this community, and that her contributions to community life are gratefully acknowledged. Unanimously passed, if you pass it, and resolved this 25th day of February in the year of our Lord 2024. I wonder if somebody might propose the resolution. Sorry? Who proposed it? Susan Hotchkiss, second? No, wait, I'm going to call you Bob Philippi. Rob Stoynoff. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There you go. Thank you. The resolution passes. What? Huh? I don't understand. If you'd like, on your way out to drinks, grab one of these. It's an entire list of Dean's Awards from 1977 to the present day. You might like a record of everybody's Dean's Awards. You can only receive a Dean's Award once. Did you know that? Okay. What have I got left? Nothing, I think. Closing prayer. Sorry I took a bit long, but there we go. God be with you. Loving God, you call us to love and serve. As we leave this meeting, having elected leaders, reflected on our resources, and contemplated our plans, return us to that first love. Help us to love deeply and serve widely, so that your world might have in it a glimmer of your divine grace. Amen. Thank you all so much. You may head out to the courtyard. Can you check off that you were here? There's a list, we'll put it in the narthex, but also sign in if you weren't on the list. Head to the courtyard for beverages, but would members of the vestry come and join me at the front just for a few minutes? That would be very helpful.